Wow. America just elected one of the most uncivilized, rude, just disgusting human beings as the leader of our country. And I think that speaks volumes to many of the worst diseases that are plaguing our society, like fear and hate and ignorance and prejudice and bigotry. My brothers and sisters, regardless of your race or religion or ethnicity or heck, even nationality, remember this: our enemies can never destroy us. We can only destroy ourselves if we allow fear and hate to turn us against each other and be willing to undermine the principles of liberty and justice that make America so great. And that's how all great democracies have fallen, when leaders turned their people against each other, bred fear and hate and division, and then slowly took more of the fundamental rights that made their nations so great. I really believe it is a sad day that someone like Trump was elected as president of these United States. However, we must pull together. We must stand strong and proud as Americans, as Muslims, Christians, Jews, atheists. We must stand united for each other's rights and for our own rights. We must not give in to fear. We must not give in to hatred. We must stand strong and be vigilant, watch out for our safety and our security, but also for our liberty. In fact, since Donald Trump announced his presidency, anti-Muslim hate crimes have gone up over 500%. And that's what happens when we allow fear and hate to turn us against each other. America becomes less safe and America becomes less free. My advice to the community is as follows. Number one, take your safety and your security very seriously. Number two, recognize that God never takes, He only gives. And while this may appear to be a tremendous challenge for our community, I believe in reality it is a tremendous opportunity. The hatred that many people harbor has become apparent and clear. And we must use this as an opportunity to call for unity. We must build alliances, we must build relationships, and most importantly, we must stand proud of our identity and stand strong in holding this administration accountable to human rights. I mean, Donald Trump has said some of the craziest things. He's threatened to ban Muslims. He's threatened to engage in mass deportations. We will work together to make sure none of his crazy, fascist, dictatorial ideas become a reality. And we can do that if we stand united, if we remain involved, and if we don't give in to fear and hatred. Let's stand together. Let's try to pull our country together, and let's make sure we hold Trump accountable to the law, and most importantly, we protect the principles of justice and liberty that truly make America great. Those promoting fear and hatred and division will never make America great. Rather, it is those champions of human rights, civil rights, social justice, economic justice, they will make America great. And now is our time to shine by holding Trump accountable and working to protect the civil rights and human rights of all people in America and hopefully in the world.
I'm really excited today. Today's video is going to be on my conversion story to Islam. I know a lot of you guys have asked me to make this video, and I've been wanting to do it for such a long time. I finally got the chance to just sit down and record. I would like to start by saying that I come from a non-religious family. My parents do believe in God, but they don't believe in religion, and there's reasons for that. My grandparents went through communism. My parents were born and grew up during communism. My country was one of the most isolated at the time, and religion was banned by constitution. Basically, people have moved away from religion. It doesn't mean that people are not spiritual. So that was the case in my family. I grew up without any religious education whatsoever. We don't have religious lessons in schools. So basically, no one ever spoke to me about God, what's going to happen to me when I die, or anything like that. However, I was very spiritual ever since I was a little girl. I used to always ponder about life and the purpose of my existence, why I am in this world, what is going to happen to me after I die, why the world is so complex and who created it, what's the purpose of us being here. So I always had these thoughts in my mind, and I used to meditate a lot. Ever since I was very little, I used to go out in the garden and just look at the stars at night and just think, who created these stars? Like, it's just such a perfect creation. When I was about 9 years old, I started going to church. Now, nobody in my family went to church. And my father really didn't like that. He used to tell me all the time, how can you believe that God has a son? He just did not like that. He's like, God is independent and God needs no son. However, I was a really stubborn girl, and I was very curious. I wanted to learn things, I wanted to know things, so I kept going there. And my parents never stopped me from doing that, because they raised me to be independent and to make decisions for myself. So basically my father would show me what is wrong and what is right, and then let me make a decision. So I kept going to church. I used to go 2 to 3 times a week. I used to even teach Bible to the little kids, and I really loved it. I loved the people at church. But then there was always a void in my heart. Like, I could not explain it. Like, why I have this religion, I'm reading the Bible, but there are still things that I keep wondering about and I can't find answers to. And then later on I moved to the States, and there I continued going to church. Before that, I tried different churches. I went to Orthodox church, to a Protestant church. In the States then I tried different churches as well, and I used to do that every week. However, I had a lot of questions I couldn't find the answers to. For example, the Trinity. I couldn't wrap my head around that. I couldn't understand it. How does it work? And every time I try to ask questions, the answers are not satisfying. People are just like, oh, well, that's the way it is, right? You just believe in it. However, for me to believe something, it needs to make sense to me. It has to be to make logical sense, and it has to be something rational. Anyways, I went to the States, made friends from all over the world, and I used to go to parties with them. And I'm seeing all these college kids, they're drinking and they're smoking, all kinds of crazy things, and I felt really, really uncomfortable. Every time they would offer me a drink, I'd be like, no, I don't want it. Well, why don't you want it? Don't you want to have fun? I'm like, well, I can have fun without drinking. I really hated the peer pressure, why people weren't themselves and they were just trying to fit in and live the college life, right? So I felt very uncomfortable in that kind of environment. And then at the same time, I was doing a lot of activities back home. I was on TV, on different shows, I used to do acting, I was an MC for many concerts, and just a lot of places and activities in which I were in the center of the attention. So I was doing the same thing even when I was in the States. I was traveling, and I really loved it. Like, I was getting the things that I always wanted for myself. At the same time, I was going through a lot of struggles. I was just thinking about the people that surrounded me and life in the States, which was very individualistic to me. I see people working all the time and they're running to work. They're just like doing things, drinking in the weekends, but I see that they're not happy even though they are doing all these things. I'm like, what is the purpose of you working all day long, just barely paying bills? These people are not happy. They go shopping, but they're not happy. I see all these girls, these women trying to always dress up. I'm not saying there's anything wrong about that, because I used to do that. I still do that. If you're doing it because it makes you feel good, I mean, there is no problem about that. But a lot of girls do that so that they feel accepted by their friends or by guys. I was just really confused. The lack of spirituality, and everybody is on their phones, and there is a big void. I feel like people are so unhappy. There's so many people that are on drugs. Why so many young people are on drugs? So I kept wondering about all these things. At the same time, I kept wondering, why am I unhappy? It happened that there were a lot of Muslim people around campus and my college, so I made friends from work and from school. And one time these girls, Muslim girls, they invited me over to their house it was during Ramadan, and these girls wear a scarf. So I had at the time a very, very negative image of Islam. Because of the media and everything, I had a really bad image of Islam. I never thought about converting to Islam or anything like that. And just hearing about it, or just the Quran, I would get scared. I just didn't want to have anything to do with the religion. But I didn't have a problem with the people for as long as they don't talk to me about religion. And so I went over to their place and they were fasting. I don't know if I should call that fasting, but they were not eating and they were not drinking. At the same time, these are girls who cover. They were doing a lot of things that Muslim women are not supposed to do by religion. I was really shocked because I had a completely different image of Muslim women. I thought they were conservative, and I was just so shocked. Like, I'm like, why are these women doing these things? Like, is this how Muslim women actually are? So I just go home and that's like the first spark. I wanted to know what Islam is all about, what these women are all about, because I hear in the media that they're very conservative. I went home and I researched it, and I was like, this is so much hypocrisy that I couldn't even swallow it. And that's how I got exposed to Islam. I did not know at the time that all it takes for someone to be a Muslim or to be called a Muslim is for them to declare that there is no God but God, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his prophet, believe in the angels and the holy books. But I didn't know that there are a lot of Muslim people who do things that are completely against religion. And then I went back home for an internship. I was wondering how I can grow spiritually and how I can become a better person, how I can understand this world, and how I can find answers to all these questions I have, how I can fill this void I have in my heart. And I figured the only way I could do that was to humble myself, to open my mind and open myself to new ideas and new experiences. I started, because I got interested in Islam, I started watching videos, and my mom started freaking out. And her reaction was really not good. So I kind of had to hide that. I was really confused during that time. Then in September, school started again, so I went back to the States. I was taking a class on different world religions, so I was learning about different ideologies, theologies. I then searched Islam and what does it mean, and it means a voluntary submission to God. It's not just a submission, it's a voluntary submission to God. And I was wondering why do people submit to God, or why should people submit to God? I kept pondering, I'm like, everybody is following something, everybody is worshipping something, everybody is submitting something to something, whether it be money, whether it be fame, whether it be a religion, whether it be drugs or alcohol, everybody is submitting to something. So I said, then why not submit to something that is worth submitting to? So that was what was going on in my mind. And one thing that I was really troubled with in the religion I was following, Christianity, even though I really believed in God and I believed in Jesus, was the fact that Christianity did not, was very incompatible with science, because I did believe in science, and for me to be convinced about something that it is the truth, it needs to make logical sense to me. It has to be rational. I went online and I was searching about Christianity and Islam as well. And then I was just blown away because I found verses of the Quran that were obviously revealed 1400 years ago, and one that later proved in the 19th century. And I was, wow, this is mind-blowing to me. I went and I researched Quran. It was the very first time that I wanted to play Quran. I don't know why, but I was always scared to even listen to it. That's how powerfully media impacted my thinking. Anyways, I just YouTube in the Quran. I played the first chapter, Surah Al-Fatiha. And as soon as I heard it, I don't know what happened to me. I kept crying. I replayed that for 6 hours. It penetrated my heart so deeply that I just don't know how to explain it. It was just so powerful, and I learned it in Arabic that same day as I was playing it. I don't know, I was just so impacted by it. Like, I couldn't stop crying. And then I said, there is no reason for me not to believe in this. I already believed in Christianity, and one of the wonderful things about Islam was that I didn't have to give up Christianity. I still believe in Jesus, but I just believe that he's a prophet. I went to the restroom, I washed my face, and then I ran to my friend and I said, I want to become a Muslim. She's a Muslim girl. I said, I want to become a Muslim. I want to say my Shahada. Can I say my Shahada? That was like the most wonderful thing that ever happened to me, and then after that has been a really long journey, a beautiful journey, but at the same time very challenging. It's not easy to be a Muslim convert living in the West, but that's a completely different story. Perhaps I will share with you another time. I hope you really liked this video and enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, share it with your friends, and keep an eye for my next videos.
And I want you to tell the story how you got saved, how God came, because this is so amazing. Can you tell that?
İlk iman eden sensin değil mi? O zaman bu nasıl oldu? Nasıl bir hikayede anlatırsan seviniriz.
Ben ilk önceden Müslüman idim.
So before I was a Muslim,
Ben İsa'yı peygamber için inanıyordum.
I just believed Jesus was a prophet.
Bir zaman ben 25 yaşındaydım. Bir kaza yaptım arabayla.
I had an accident, a car accident when I was 25.
Ondan sonra şu kazaya ben şey oldum. Nasıl diyeyim? Bir rüya gördüm. O rüyanın içinde ben siyah şeyleri görüyordum.
So in the accident, I passed out, and so I saw like a dream, and in the dream I saw something black.
Ve eşik şeyleri görüyordum.
And I also saw things that were light. I saw something light and white, bright.
Bilmiyorum ne kadar zaman sürdü ama kendimi birkaç zamandan sonra ben kendimi bir gördüm. Hem kendimi havada hissediyordum.
So I don't know how long it lasted, but at some point I felt like I was watching myself from outside my body.
Hem de kendimi arabanın içinde görüyordum ki bir yaşa var oradan kaza yapmış.
And so, I mean, I saw myself in the car and saw that I had had an accident, but I was watching myself from outside of myself.
Ondan sonra o siyah şeyleri geliyordu. Ben çok korkuyordum. Bir halet mesela bir şekil bana çok stres falan yapıyordu bana. Çok korkuyordum.
So I saw there were many black things, and they were coming at me, and I just felt myself stressed and I was afraid.
Ondan sonra eşik şeyleri geliyordu. Kendimi rahat hissediyordum. Ve
And then I saw
kendimi...
tek bir şey mi? Birkaç şey mi?
Yok, tek bir şey.
And then there was just one bright shining one, and that one was coming. And when that light was coming, then I felt comfortable. I felt safe.
O kadar o eşik şeyleri seviyordum ki hiç istemiyordum. Onun yanında mesela o zaman bitsin yani.
So I wanted to just be with the bright shining one. I wanted that time to end and just to be with the bright one.
Ondan sonra kendime bir baktım, abimi gördüm, ağlıyor, beni çağırıyor. Ben de bir ses duydum. Oradan o ses bana hayat yine verdi. Yani beni yine bu hayatımdan gönderdi ve ben gözlerimi açırdım, abime söyledim, bana bir şey yok.
Okay, and then I was still watching myself, and I saw my brother. He was next to me. He was crying, and he was calling to me. And then it was when the bright shining one came, that was when I was able to hear that my brother was crying for me. And a short time after that, all of a sudden I was in my body again, and my eyes were opened, and my brother said, "We're going to the hospital. It's going to be okay."
Ondan sonra ben dedim bu ses neymiş bilmiyordum, yani anlamadım ki bu ses İsa'nın sesiymiş. O zaman İsa'yı peygamber gibi biliyordum. Ondan sonra ben Kitab-ı İncil'i okudum ve o İsa'nın filmini gördüm.
İsa'nın sesini nasıl olduğunu anladın?
İsa'nın sesini ben böyle hissediyorum ki bir ses duydum. Yani o normal gibi demiyorum. Nasıl söyleyeyim yani?
So
normal gibi bir ses değildi yani. Bir şekilde ben öyle hissediyordum. Evet.
When I was seeing the bright one, I heard a voice, and I didn't understand what that voice was or who that was.
O sesi ben o zaman bilmiyordum. İsa mesela
I didn't know that
beni-
that voice was Jesus.
bana hayat vermiş ama ondan
I didn't know
sonra
it was Jesus who had given me life. But
kitap
after that,
muhaddesi okudum.
I got a hold of a Bible,
İsa'nın hayatını seyrettim.
and I got a hold of a Jesus film. For
Ne istedim bana hemen verdi yani.
for 27 years, I mean, I would call out to Allah, but I felt like He was never speaking to me. He didn't hear me. There was no communication. But when I spoke to Jesus, right away answers would come.
Ondan sonra ben çok rüyalar görüyordum ki İsa
So after
kendini
that, I saw a lot of dreams.
o kendini bana gösteriyordu. Ben daha inanıyordum yani.
And so Jesus would show himself in my dreams, and so I would understand more and I would believe more.
O kendini bana gösterdi ki dünyada geldi, ne çekti, insanlar ne yaptılar ona. Ondan
In
sonra
my dream, he showed me what happened to Jesus when he was on earth.
nesil şeye gitti. Yani nasıl söyleyeyim? Çok zor olur bana.
Mezar haç mı?
Evet, nesil kıyam yaptı yani. Nesil Father şeyle
bildiğin.
gitti yani.
So I even saw in my dreams, God even showed me the resurrection and how he went to his Father. It was just all of the things in, yani kutsal kitapta olan şeyler görmüşsün.
Evet, evet.
So I saw the things that were in scripture but in my dreams.
Ve çok rüyalar gördüm.
So I saw many dreams.
Evet, aynen bir şey gibi, öğretmen gibi bana öğreniyordu. Mesela
So it
haftada
was like a teacher in my dreams teaching me about
her
Jesus and
şey
his life.
her şey bana garip geliyordu. Hemen rüyamla bana konuşuyordu ve o garip bir şey kafamda var idi. O geçiyordu yani. Hemen bana
So whenever I
söylüyordu.
had something that was really confusing or strange to me and I didn't understand, in my dream, God would through Jesus show me something and I would understand.
Ben inandım ve o şeyi
So I became a believer of Jesus
kendim hissediyordum.
and I felt like I was myself.
Ailemle konuştum, abimle konuştum.
And I
Dedim,
talked to my family, to my brother.
Ve ben eskiden bir şeyler yapıyordum. Mesela içki içiyordum veya
He said I used to, and I explained to my family, I said I used to drink alcohol.
veya ciğara içiyordum, mesela marijuana falan
And
içiyordum.
so I was using marijuana.
Ama ben o zamanki İsa'yı tanıdım, her şeyle kurtardı beni yani hiçbir şeyle vücudum istemiyordu ondan
And
sonra.
but after Jesus saved me, I didn't even want those things. My body didn't want marijuana or alcohol or things I'd used.
Kendime kendime rahat görüyordum. Bu
I just I felt free and comfortable.
şu boğaz şörtmüş içiyor. Abim beni gördü, ailem beni gördüler. Ben çok fark ettim yani. Eski gibi değilim.
So my brother had seen me, my family had seen me, and I was different. I was not what I had been before.
Onlar kendiler soruyordular mesela Yaşar ne oldu? Niye bu kadar değişti?
And so they were even asking among themselves. They said to one another, I mean, what has changed so much in Yashar? Why is he like this?
Ondan sonra abime kiliseye götürdüm. Orada dua
And so I
ettiler.
took my brother to church and they prayed for him.
O da kutsal ruhunu hissetti.
And so the same way, like me, he felt the Holy
O da
Spirit
inandı.
and he believed.
İnandık ki biz insanlar günah yaptık
And he
ve
believed that we as
günahla
people,
dövdük.
have
Sadece
sinned.
bir insan var ki İsa Mesih geldi ve bizim için kendine feda etti
And he believed
ve
too that there was only
bize
one
kurtardı.
man that could save us, and that was Jesus, because he didn't sin.
Ondan
He gave himself
sonra
up for us.
ailem de bize baktılar, hepsi inandılar yani.
And
Kiliseye gittiler.
slowly, our whole family looked at us, my brother and I, and
Başka
then
zamanlar böyle.
they slowly began to believe as well, and they came to church as well.
Bugün de biz hepimiz beraber 8 kişi geldik buraya
And
baptist
so
için.
today we came here, we're 8 people. We came here to get baptized.
Ben bugün için 3 sene bekliyordum.
So I've been
Sadece
waiting 3 years for today.
bugün için çok şaşırıyorum.
I'm so surprised.
Çok seviyorum. Bugün
I'm very happy today. I'm so pleased.
en büyük bir bereket Allah bana verdi. Onun için
And I feel like
çok
God-
şaşırıyorum ve
Allah has
ona
given me a
çok
wonderful
teşekkür
blessing.
ederim.
And I thank him so much.
Yani inandım yani.
I said, I mean, I believed. That was it.
Yani ben bir şey söyleyeceğim.
Filmde bulmuşsunuz arabada,
Evet.
değil mi?
Evet.
So he had also found the Jesus film he'd found in his car.
Yeah.
Evet. Yani ben bir şey söyleyeceğim. Her insan bir zamanı var. Ben böyle
And I want to say
inanıyorum.
this too. He's like, I think everybody has a time. There's a time for them.
O zaman gelse o insan her şeyi anlıyor. Yani
And when that time comes, that person will understand.
ben Tanrım'la istiyorum ki bir zaman gelse ki hep insanlar, bütün insanlar kurtarsınlar ve
Yeah, so
şu
my desire, I want everybody to have that time for God to come and for everybody to recognize.
ve aynen İsa gibi hayat devam olsa yani. Aynen onun gibi hayat olsa
And
yani.
let everybody live like Jesus, he
Yani
says.
şeriat bize kurtarmıyor yani.
Because Shariat, he means the Sharia law. I mean, law just does not save us. It cannot save us.
Anyway, God bless you and the whole family. Yes.
Sister Sophia, her second question was regarding her prayer. She said she reverted, mashallah, a year ago, but she kept her reversion away from her family because they were non-Muslims and it was difficult for her. So after moving away, she started praying. She says she's heard something that the Prophet ﷺ allowed the new Muslim to gradually enter Islam, to enter the rituals of Islam. She says, what do I do with my salah? Do I make it up from the beginning, or do I just carry on from where I am now?
Sister Sophia, congratulations for gaining back your birthright. May Allah accept that from you.
Ameen. Ameen.
And may Allah keep you steadfast on His straight path. Ameen. And all of us. And second, there are priorities. Once a person recognizes the oneness of his Lord, there are duties should be offered to please Him. The most important and the foremost act of worship is the prayer. As we mentioned in the last episode, that no one whatsoever is exempted from offering the prayer under any circumstances, even while traveling, even while on the battlefield, except women during their menses.
Okay.
So now, if you have skipped a whole year of prayer, there are two schools of thoughts concerning whether to make up the prayer or not. One of the schools of thoughts, one of the scholarly opinions say that the Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith في صحيح البخاري, من نسي صلاة فليؤديها متى ذكرها لا كفارة لها إلا ذلك. Whosoever forgets any prayer, let him make it up. It has no other ransom but this, but to make it up. So they concluded from this, well, if in case that the person have forgotten or overslept and missed the prayer, that he should do it, then it is more worthy if the person left it deliberately to make it up. The second opinion which I adopt is that a prayer which the person left deliberately, especially for a long period of time, like a whole year, no matter how many times he makes it up, it would never make it up. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. So there are two parts, two sides of the equation. Kitaban, it's been ordained, mawqutan, on appointed times. It's got to be offered on its appointed and fixed times. Accordingly, your best bet right now is to try to increase as much as you can of the nawafil, which is the supererogatory or the voluntary prayers, such as the prayers before and after, the recommended sunan before and after, extra nawafil, the night prayer, and istighfar, or seeking for forgiveness. That should be, insha'Allah, sufficient to make up what you've missed, hoping that, insha'Allah, you would not get to miss any prayer in the future.
Jazakallah khair. And does that, so this hadith or this saying, for example, how does it apply? I mean, how does a person enter the deen? Do they enter it straight away, wholeheartedly? Or
the hadith which we would like to mention in that regard, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and I believe the narrator is Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, and it's a sound hadith, ما نهيتكم عنه فاجتنبوه وما أمرتكم به فأتوا منه ما استطعتم. Whatever I have prohibited you from, you must avoid it totally. And whatever I command you to do, then do as much as you can of it. We say concerning the prohibitions, there are very few. So it is affordable, and you must avoid all of them immediately. Once a person accepts Islam, must avoid having outside marriage relationship. Any dating, adultery is prohibited once a person accepts Islam. Because it was prohibited even in their own religion. Once a person accepts Islam, should stop drinking. Should stop the business transactions which include prohibitions. Once a person accepts Islam, he must do what's most important, which is number one, the prayers. Then fasting during the month of Ramadan, if the person is physically fit and can afford it. These are immediate ibadat or acts of worship which must be offered on time. Well, there are voluntary ibadat which you're not required to do right away, but take it easy on yourself. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, and whatever I commanded you to do, do as much as you can afford of it. But concerning the fard, what's mandatory, and particularly, and most importantly, the prayer, it is a must. The Prophet ﷺ, when he sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal, may Allah be pleased with him, to Yemen, he informed him that you are visiting or going to a country which most of its dwellers are the people of the scripture. Inform them about the oneness of God. When they accept that, inform them that Allah has prescribed and ordained upon them 5 daily prayers. You see the priority? And when they comply with that, then inform them about fasting, about az-zakat, etc. Whenever somebody would accept Islam, the Prophet ﷺ would order him to take a bath with the intention of performing ghusl, then instruct the companions to take him and teach him how to pray. So number one is the prayer. It is a deception to say that you don't have to pray now because you're a beginner. Even if you have not memorized a single surah, you do not know how to recite even Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it would be sufficient to recite instead Subhanallah, Walhamdulillah, Wallahu Akbar. Simple words that you can learn in a minute. Then recite them instead of the Quran and instead of ruku' and sujood. And any mistakes or drawbacks take place while the person is still in the process of learning are being forgiven. But the problem is when somebody deceives you and say, well, you don't have to pray now. Later on. When? Do you have an appointed time? Do you have a reference that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, well, you can pray a year later, maybe 2 years later, or is it up to your convenience or up to your desire? Now, once a person accepts Islam, number one must begin with is the prayer, as much as you can afford of the recitation. But each prayer you must offer. Concerning the time where you were living with your family members and it was very difficult, I understand that it's over now, alhamdulillah. I'm just trying to give an advice to many people who are having similar circumstances, because I get a lot of questions in that regard. That every one of us have some free time. Every one of us can lock the door behind him or herself to do their private issues, to change their clothes. You can do that whenever you have a chance to offer the prayer. Because the literal meaning of the prayer is as-silah, is the link or the connection that ties the servant to his Lord. Without this link, the person might go astray, definitely will go astray. Inna as-salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar wal bagh. So indeed, the prayer prohibits a person from fahsha and sins and evil doing and injustice or wrongdoing or oppression. So the person must make certain that the salah is being offered and on the proper appointed time.
So any not yet Muslims who want to take the Shahada, just let me know before we conclude, inshallah. Is there anyone from the brothers? Yes, so we would request the brother to come near the stage. MashaAllah, takbir.
Words of Shahada, and brother will repeat after me, firstly in the Arabic language and then in the English language, inshallah. So you say after me, Ashhadu,
Ashhadu,
Allah,
Allah,
ilaha,
ilaha,
illa,
illa,
Allah,
Allah,
wa ashhadu, anna,
anna,
Muhammadan,
Muhammadan,
Rasulullah.
Rasulullah.
I bear witness
that
there is none
there's none
worthy of worship
worthy of worship
besides Allah,
besides Allah,
and I bear witness
and I bear witness
that Muhammad,
that Muhammad,
may peace be upon him,
may peace be upon him,
is his final messenger.
is his final messenger.
MashaAllah. Barakallah feekum. Jazakumullah khair. Allah bless you in every way.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jeffrey Sagusio, and I've been joining and attending some of the talks by Sheikh Mufti, and because of one of my friend before who asked me to join this gathering, and inspired me to become one of us now, because I already and that's give me a big help, and especially Sheikh Mufti, which is I always watch his videos in YouTube and all those guidance which is he speaks, who talks, and that's it. For now, I can't say anything for now.
MashaAllah, that's so good to hear. Barakallah feek, Jazakumullah khair. You are a brother. I have one small piece of advice for you, and that is Islam is knowledge based. So the more you learn, the more you will love it. The less you know, the more you drift, or the more you dwindle. So I encourage you to learn a lot. There are brothers and sisters here at Al-Manar who will be able to assist, inshallah, and you should perhaps join some class or something to be able to learn more as time passes, inshallah. Barakallah feek.
One more shahada from the sister side.
Assalamu alaikum. We have a shahada, alhamdulillah, from the sister's side. I'll just hand over the mic to the sisters.
Can you hear me, sister?
Yeah.
Can you repeat the shahada after me? I will say the words clearly and you will say them after me, inshallah. Ashhadu.
Ashhadu.
Allah.
Allah.
Ilaha.
Ilaha.
Illa.
Illa.
Allah.
Allah.
Wa.
Wa.
Ashhadu.
Ashhadu.
Anna.
Anna.
Muhammadan.
Muhammadan.
Rasulullah.
Rasulullah.
I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship besides Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad, may peace be upon him, is his final messenger. MashaAllah. Takbir. MashaAllah. My sister, wallahi, we are all touched, and I'm sure it's a very big journey that you've made, and I ask the sisters around you to give you a nice tight hug, inshallah. Welcome to Islam, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this a means of your entry into Jannah, and may it be the same for every one of us. My brothers and sisters, just a point of pondering very quickly. People are turning to Islam in large numbers. Why is it that we who are already Muslims do not realize the value of the same deen sometimes? There are people who are further away from the deen who are coming closer than we are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can hear our sister who's just entered the fold of Islam. She is weeping out of the journey she has just made towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of these tears, I spoke about them yesterday in my talk. How many of us have shed tears for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So may Allah strengthen us all. We are inspired and motivated by you, my dear sister. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you the best journey in this world as well as in the next. And may you be from among those who attains paradise by the mercy of Allah. And may every one of us be included in that too. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.